What's up, guys? It is Tuesday, June 6th. It's 1:20 p.m. and this is the crypto newsletter. So starting off with some big news, we got Swift collaborating with Chainlink and more than a dozen financial institutions and FMIs to test CCIP for blockchain interoperability. Participants include DTCC, Clearstream, Euroclear, Citi, BNY Mellon, BNP Paribas, Lloyds, ANZ Bank, SDX, and more. Let's dive into this. This is big news. Might need to pick up some Chainlink, because those institutions, DTCC, a quadrillion in volume a year. Swift explores blockchain interoperability to remove friction from tokenized asset settlement. We're collaborating with the Swift community globally to test how institutions can use their Swift connection to seamlessly interoperate with the multiple blockchain networks emerging around the world. Institutional investors increasingly are considering investments in tokenized assets as they seek new forms of value, but they face a complex challenge. These investments are tracked on a diverse range of blockchain networks that are not interoperable. Each has its own functionality or liquidity profile, which creates significant overhead and friction in managing and trading the assets. Overcoming this fragmentation will be key to the long-term scalability of the market and align with our focus on removing friction in international transactions. We are working with our community to explore a potential solution. In a new set of experiments, we will collaborate with more than a dozen major financial institutions and FMIs, including Australia and New Zealand Banking Group Limited, BNP Paribas, BNY Mellon, Citi, Clearstream, Euroclear, Lloyds Bank Group, Six Digital Exchange, and the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, DTCC, to test how firms can leverage their existing Swift infrastructure to efficiently instruct the transfer of tokenized value over a range of public and private blockchain networks. Chainlink, a leading Web3 service platform, will provide connectivity across public and private blockchains for these experiments. So this latest round of experimentation builds on a series of successful trials in 2022 and also will explore how the industry could address potential operational and regulatory pitfalls facing financial institutions when operating a blockchain environment. So if you keep going down here, in such a highly fragmented ecosystem, it would simply not be feasible for financial institutions to connect to each and every platform individually. That's why the community is working with Swift to develop an interoperability model that will enable access to different platforms globally. So let's keep going down. There's unlikely to be a single prevailing blockchain network. We would expect to see a multitude of different platforms emerging, each serving different customer segments with their own bespoke capabilities and requirements. In such a high fragmented ecosystem, it would simply not be feasible for financial institutions to connect to each and every platform individually. That's why the community is working to develop an interoperability model that would enable access to different platforms globally. So ensuring interoperability between financial institutions, back and middle office systems, and a growing number of blockchain networks will be essential if trading in tokens becomes more ubiquitous. Instead of building new infrastructure and technology stacks entirely from scratch, financial institutions want to leverage their existing infrastructure to connect to blockchain ledgers where tokens are recorded in a way that is both compliant and secure. Not only would this help firms simplify their architecture and operations, but also minimizes investment costs and reduces risk of technology obsolescence. Rising to the challenge, how Swift is delivering blockchain interoperability. So more institutions are beginning to explore how to serve customers on both permission and public blockchain networks like Ethereum. This is raising questions around the key use cases and what would be required to support these activities in a secure and compliant manner. So then they go into about the experiments. The first use case will involve the transfer of tokenized assets between two wallets on the same public blockchain network, Ethereum. The second involves the transfer of tokenized assets from a public blockchain, Ethereum, to a permissioned blockchain. And a third use case will test the transfer of tokenized assets from Ethereum to another public blockchain. Chainlink will be used as an enterprise abstraction layer to securely connect the Swift network to the Ethereum network, while Chainlink's cross-chain interoperability protocol will enable complete interoperability between the source and destination blockchains. We're excited to work with Swift. It's clear that as banks endeavor to access multiple blockchains, a common connectivity layer across the various chains will be a critical building block for their adoption of on-chain finance. We'll also explore a set of non-technological considerations that are necessary for regulated institutions to interact with public blockchain networks and engage in cross-network transactions. This encompasses a range of operational, compliance, and regulatory challenges, including key focus area on confidentiality and privacy of data or liability and recourse when transacting with public blockchain environments. Our findings will be published later this year. There we go. So let's dive into the next thing. So we have SDX tests settling digital assets with CBDC. This was news a couple of days ago. So head of Six Digital Exchange said the digital asset arm has benefited from a flight to quality and is excited about taking part in a test with the Swiss National Bank to settle transactions with central bank digital currency. We keep going down. They've received regulatory authorization from FINMA to operate a stock exchange and a central securities depository for digital assets in Switzerland in September 2021, allowing the exchange to go live with a fully regulated, integrated trading, settlement, and custody infrastructure based on DLT for digital securities. Keep going down. It said FTX, without a shadow of doubt, driven a conversation around counterparty risk and the need to have a trusted service provider and jurisdiction that is effective in terms of oversight under regulations that are comprehensive, transparent, and make sense. We have seen empirical evidence that institutions are moving towards licensed service providers, especially for custody. Keep going down. In 2022, we built a bridge to enable dual bonds or equities to be issued on SIX and also on digital infrastructure. That helps with liquidity and any concerns that an issuer has around reaching the entire investor community. Keep going down here. Talks about settlement. So they said, in addition to concerns about liquidity of digital bonds, investors have expressed concerns about cash settlement. SDX has an account with the SNB and issues tokens on a one-to-one basis, but he explained that there's no equivalent to a central bank digital currency. It is technically commercial bank money, and that comes with a balance sheet change. However, for future proof of payments, the central bank said it would conduct a test for issuing digital issuances during a specific time period, which will be settled with the CBDC. This will be the first time there's been a wholesale CBDC settlements on regulated financial market infrastructure anywhere in the world. Then if we keep going down, this has created the basis in Switzerland for a regulated token ecosystem. The S&B is open to DLT in the token ecosystem and its potential for efficiency gains and risk reduction. The central bank has also acknowledged at the same time DLT can introduce new risks into the system and can fundamentally change the role of financial intermediaries in the architecture of the current financial system. So if we keep going down, building on the insights gained, we intend in particular to further explore the operational bases that would enable the S&B to issue wholesale CBDC for settlement purposes if necessary in the future. As part of the project, we will issue real wholesale CBDC on SDX for a limited time and test selected transactions with market participants. So this turbocharges the whole situation. The test will start soon, they said, and will run over a few quarters. So by the end of this year, it'll be wrapped up. So there we go. A lot of CBDC, current market infrastructure being enhanced news. We got SWIFT talking about interoperability, the buzzword. We got CBDCs and wholesale settlement of them. And then we have this. We have Coinbase sued by the SEC for breaking US security rules, which makes no sense because they went public and the SEC has to sign off on that. Now they're coming back around. It's just such a show over here. It's such a show. And the market bounced. The market bounced off it. So I'm not even going to dive straight into this because it is what it is. Then we had brace yourselves for a dramatic shift in the global financial ecosystem. Global banks abandon US dollar for glittering gold. The great gold rush. This was from today. Brace yourselves for a dramatic shift. As the sun sets on the once mighty US dollar, a new era looms ahead, an era of glittering gold. Recent data suggests that the kings of currency, the central banks, are diversifying their reserves away from the US dollar and veering towards gold. Brace yourselves for a dramatic shift in the global financial ecosystem as we unpack the enthralling seismic shift in monetary strategies. Dear reader, a storm is brewing in the world of finance, one that threatens to upend the established global monetary order. The backbone of the global economy, the US dollar, finds itself on shaky ground. Is it finally time to bid farewell to the supremacy of the US dollar? As the winds of change sweep across the central bank's worldwide, it seems the future holds a glimmer of gold. According to the World Gold Council, nearly a quarter of all central banks are preparing to hedge against the US dollar by stockpiling more gold. These harbingers of fiscal policy are getting cold feet, it seems. The dollar, the erstwhile bedrock of the reserves, now elicits growing pessimism. Shocking, isn't it? That the very institutions that once championed the US dollar are now hedging against it. The greenback is losing its luster and the world is ready to trade it for a different kind of glitter, gold. So gold continues to be viewed favorably by central banks, reported the World Gold Council. We go down following an unprecedented surge in central bank gold buying. The survey reveals that 24% of these institutions plan to increase their holdings over the next year. And the backdrop to this gold rush, a profound disillusionment with the US dollar, but the plot thickens. The central bank's outlook for the golden metal shines brighter than ever before, with a whopping 62% predicting that gold will command a larger share of total reserves, up from 46% last year. In a world fraught with economic uncertainty, could this be the dawn of a new golden age? A closer examination of the situation only adds to this gripping narrative. 7 out of 10 central banks, a 10% increase from the previous year, predict that gold reserves in general will rise in the coming year. These revelations paint a striking picture. One of the world's most influential financial institutions retreating from the US dollar stronghold and flocking to the reliable refuge of gold. A report by the banking titan UBS adds fuel to this fire, predicting that central banks will amass a staggering 700 metric tons of gold worth around $50 billion this year alone. It seems that the allure of gold is irresistible. So now consider this. Last year marked the 13th consecutive year of net gold purchases by global central banks, with their buying more than doubling from 450 metric tons to 1,078 metric tons. Are we witnessing a seismic shift in a global monetary policy, a move from the fiat currency system towards a gold-backed system? These developments are not arbitrary. They are fueled by an undercurrent of persistent inflation and escalating geopolitical concerns. The tempest of today's global economy drives central banks to seek shelter in the age-old safe haven gold. Friends, we're standing on the precipice of a monumental shift, a tipping point in the global financial order. Central banks are losing faith in the dollar, turning their eye towards the gold horizon. In this grand chess game of global finance, it's evident that the players are shifting their strategy. They're hedging their bets, trading in the tried and tested dollar for the unyielding security of gold. So where does this leave us, the spectators in this game? It's time we read the writing on the wall and brace ourselves for the impact of this financial earthquake. For in this turbulent sea of change, only one thing remains constant: gold's enduring value. So it goes into it more. The world of finance is a turbulent sea where the currents of change are relentless and unforgiving. But in this chaotic world, there's one beacon of stability: gold. As the tide turns against the US dollar, the allure of gold is undeniable. So there we go. There we go. And then there's also the point of a gold-backed digital currency as well too. And then Coinbase issued show cause notice by 10 US states. So these were the states that had decided to kind of go against Coinbase for violating securities laws. There you go. So if you live in one of those states, let them know. Let them know. So in India's central bank is keen on steering G20 toward macro risk posed by digital currencies. This was 7 hours ago. The Reserve Bank of India has expressed an interest in steering the conversations around digital assets towards their implications on a macro financial and institutional level. The central bank disclosed its position on May 20th, urging global policymakers to consider the institutional risk posed by digital currencies. According to the RBI, while regulatory authorities are focused on protecting retail investors, the broader payments ecosystem faces significant risk from the asset class. Leveraging India's G20 presidency, the RBI hopes to amplify its claims that cryptocurrencies are a material threat to financial stability. Experts say that the report is the first time that the RBI is making a play to influence digital currency regulation on a global scale. We just said in our video yesterday that that would be the case. The intent of India's presidency is to expand the G20 crypto asset narrative beyond financial stability and financial integrity concerns to capture the macro financial and the cross-sectoral implication and risks of crypto assets. The broader financial ecosystem faces the grim prospects of increasing cryptoization, flight of capital, and a slew of contagion risks stemming from the implosion of digital currency behemoths. The central bank cited the domino effects triggered by FTX and Terra collapses in 2022 affected retail investors and corporate entities. The G20 nations are inching toward the launch of a uniform digital currency regulation, right? We just said this in our video yesterday. After enlisting the help of the International Monetary Fund and the Financial Stability Board, while the draft rules are yet to be made public, one hypothesis suggests that the rules will see service providers be regulated in the same manner as banks. Incoming regulations will place a premium on stablecoins and their issuers and provide stricter anti-money laundering rules for exchange service providers to follow. So a hard stance against digital assets. Historically, India's central bank has viewed digital currencies with distrust, famously calling them for a blanket ban. They describe the asset class as akin to gambling, posing significant risks to the threats of the financial system. They warn increased adoption of digital currencies might undermine the authority of the RBI as it struggles to cope with the challenge of dollarization. Critics have opined that with India at the helm of the G20, proposed digital currency regulations could be adversely influenced by RBI's stifling stance for the industry. So there we go. Next. Okay, so that was just the announcement from the SEC, the Twitter announcement, the press release of them going at Coinbase. Then we have this, which was interesting. Jack Dorsey, who is the CEO of Twitter, somebody tweeted to him, "Is Ethereum a security, Jack?" He said, yes. That was surprising to me. So Ethereum, he's saying, is a security, but they have yet to mention Ethereum. You know, there's a whole kind of charade going on with that. But then we have Ripple CBDC development efforts spotlighted by American Banker. American Banker has recognized efforts put in by Ripple in terms of central bank digital currencies development. American Banker, a Manhattan-based trade publication covering the financial service industry, has highlighted Ripple's efforts in creating ways for dozens of digital currencies to work together. They noted that Ripple recently launched its central bank digital currency platform to achieve this goal. Through Ripple's CBDC platform, governments, financial institutions, and central banks can issue their own national stablecoins and digital currencies. An American banker emphasized that Ripple is focused on developing CBDCs for different financial institutions worldwide, having successfully eliminated the barriers associated with cross-border payments using its blockchain technology. So this is a quote. Ripple already uses a distributed ledger technology that supports the XRP token to enable international payments for e-commerce, the report stressed. Meanwhile, Ripple aims to make various digital currencies interoperable using the newly launched CBDC platform. Per American banker, Ripple CBDC's platform is designed to address the use case of digital currencies for banks and other consumers. The product possesses important issuer features for minting and distributing, redeeming, and destroying coins. If we keep going down, they said that they would focus on interoperability as it addresses the use cases for wholesale and retail CBDCs. It bears mentioning that wholesale CBDCs are designed for banks that transfer a significant amount of funds across borders. RippleNet is transformed into a platform for cross-border payments, offering crypto-native services like instant settlement, line of credit, and liquidity. The CBDC platform builds upon this foundation. So widespread adoption of Ripple's solution. Ripple has played a pivotal role in the global payment industry. Top financial institutions, including Tranglo, MoneyWatch, Centbee, Neum, Corpay, have adopted Ripple's payment solution for cross-border settlements. In an exciting development, Tranglo, one of Ripple's most prominent long-standing ODL partners, announced last month that it had processed over $1 billion using ODL solution from Ripple, which utilizes XRP. Furthermore, several central banks have partnered with Ripple on a CBDC pilot projects. That includes the apex banks of Montenegro, the Republic of Palau, and the Kingdom of Bhutan, among others. There we go. It's the one, the holy grail. So Ripple launches new CBDC platform for financial institutions and governments. This was May 18, 2023. This is what they were talking about. And the new platform is designed to enable governments, central banks, and financial institutions to issue their own digital currencies. And Ripple Labs, yep, we know that. Okay, let's go down. With the new platform, governments, institutions can effectively manage the entire life cycle of fiat-based CBDCs, including minting, distribution, and redemption. The platform will allow financial institutions to participate in inter-institutional settlements using digital currency. Furthermore, central banks can leverage the solution to develop retail and wholesale. It's the all-in-one solution. So notably, the platform will enable both governments and central banks to bring the next level of digitalization to their financial services. Consequently, the initiative will allow millions of unbanked people globally to gain access to financial services. So it bears mentioning that the new CBDC platform's capabilities will be demonstrated via the KHD pilot, a program run by the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the region's de facto central bank. So Ripple is one of the pioneers of CBDC development. Several central banks have partnered with Ripple on different CBDC pilot programs. And interestingly, Ripple's efforts towards CBDC development have not gone unnoticed. Earlier this month, Ripple was ranked as an established leader for central bank digital currencies. It's the holy grail. So then we have this. CBDCs can help protect against surveillance capitalism. This was yesterday. Digital currencies present an opportunity to improve payments privacy, not worsen it. It goes into a whole thing about it. Threatening our privacy. What is privacy? We hope for better, and then winning public trust. And that's going to be hard to do. But much of the challenge in this area is cultural, not technical. The encryption standards and systems architectures already exist, but revelations from Edward Snowden, the NSA whistleblower, and others have shaken this public's trust in the state's willingness to respect individual privacy. Can the state be trusted to implement these privacy-enhancing technologies without leaving additional backdoors? Convincing the general public will be a tremendous challenge. That is not a reason not to try. We're not starting from a point of sufficient privacy, so do not risk losing it. Privacy in digital payments is already poor. The chances that we improve it, the digitalization of the global economy has caused a rapid loss in control over data. The technology exists to regain it, but as the commercial value of such data increases, the likelihood of the private sector willingly deploying that technology shrinks. If, however, the state establishes a benchmark, a free, high-quality payment system that protects privacy without facilitating crime, then the private sector will be forced to raise its standards. So there we go. So that is the news, and a lot of stuff going on, man. A lot more stuff. I haven't even scratched the surface as far as what has come out just today or in the past week or the month alone. I mean, we didn't do newsletters for a whole month. I'm going to have to go back and find all the hidden gems that were released during that time, because I remember seeing a bunch. So we're going to get back to it. I'll see you guys in the Discord. If you're not already in there, join the Discord. The link is in the bio, and I'll see you over there.